Over the last 30 years, we've seen the Star Fox series go from the future of video games to a Zelda-like adventure to that one sci-fi franchise that Nintendo periodically remembers and then farms off to a completely different developer. If you don't count the posthumous release of Star Fox 2, then it's been almost a full decade since the last mainline game, and that sucks. If you too are frustrated by Nintendo's reluctance to send their furry fighter pilots into space, then let me recommend the brand new game Whisker Squadron Survivor. Developed by the people responsible for Race the Sun and Absolute Drift, this new shoot 'em up is what you get if you turn Star Fox into a Survivor-style roguelike. Will that be enough to get you to forget about Fox McCloud, Slippy Toad, and Pappy Hair? Well, that's what we're about to find out when I review Whisker Squadron Survivor by Flipfly. When evil robot bugs known as the Swarm threaten to conquer the galaxy, it's up to the Whisker Squadron to eradicate the pests before they divide, multiply, and take over. You play a brand new recruit named Olivia, who's reluctant at first, but is out for revenge after the Swarm destroys her home. She, along with two other pilots, will fly through a series of narrow passageways in order to shoot down the alien invaders and save our furry friends from the infestation of robot insects. Although it's presented as a 3D shooter, Whisker Squadron has all the hallmarks of a Survivor-style action game. The goal is to make it through 3 increasingly difficult chapters, each with 5 or 6 different levels to beat. To do this, you're going to need to shoot down the alien bugs and then collect the scraps that burst out of them. When you collect enough of these scraps, the game will pause and give you a choice between several different abilities or enhancements. For example, you may want to focus on upgrading your firepower, or perhaps it's better to build up the chance of an enemy ship dropping a health pickup. You'll be able to add laser and missile drones that'll fly alongside our pilots, as well as choose faster bullets, thicker shields, more powerful bombs, and a whole lot more. Now, what you'll quickly discover is that you're constantly upgrading your craft, sometimes 4 or 5 times in a single stage. Your new abilities and upgrades will start to stack up, changing how you decide to tackle each playthrough. You'll choose what you want to focus on, and that's really where the game shines. You may find that you want to prioritize health drops over more powerful weapons, or choose to throw all your points into magnet powers, that way you never miss even a single bit of the scraps. One tactic is to have the widest array of abilities possible, while at another time it may make more sense to load everything into upgrading just 1 or 2 aspects of your craft. Watch out, because once the run is over, the abilities and upgrades disappear, forcing us to start all over again. The good news is that there are new weapons and perks that you can buy between the runs that'll upgrade the ship and pilot permanently. You first see that with the loadout, where you have the ability to switch between 3 different pilots, each with their own pros and cons. Olivia, for example, will regain a certain amount of health after each stage, which is especially important for beginners. Max, on the other hand, can choose between 4 different upgrades instead of the usual 3. And then there's Ross, the oldest and crankiest member of Whisker Squadron, who will earn substantially more VP bucks than the other pilots. But watch out, because he won't regain health like Olivia. Beyond the pilots, we have a chance to switch between the typical burst fire, as well as a shotgun-style blast, a Gatling gun, and a powerful laser strike. Similarly, you can switch between several different secondary bombs and homing missiles. And if you still have money left over, you can improve your odds of getting a critical hit, how much shield your ship has, and other useful upgrades that'll carry over into every single run. And that's how things go. You work your way across 3 different chapters, each with several different paths to take, all while fighting through randomly constructed stages that last you long enough to shoot down every last insect baddie. If you've upgraded your craft adequately and know how to dodge enemy fire, then you may stand a chance taking on several different boss fights, all of which leads to a rather anticlimactic ending. But wait, we're not talking about the negatives just yet, because there's still a lot to like about Whisker Squadron. For one thing, despite the repetition, the gameplay loop is immensely fun. Even when I died late into the 3rd chapter, I couldn't wait to jump back in. That's a testament to just how different each playthrough feels. Because you don't necessarily see the same upgrade options in each session, you're basically forced to try out different tactics. And I like the gameplay in general. It's fast and it's fun and it's full of possibilities. It even has a slick barrel roll move that you can use to deflect enemy fire. I like how it initially acts as a shield, but you can upgrade it to be everything from a magnet to a way to throw the enemy bombs right back at the pesky bugs. I also really like how much there is to do in Whisker Squadron. You're going to open up a new challenge mode early on that is exactly what it sounds like. A mode where you take on increasingly difficult challenges created by the developer. Even more interesting is the mod mode, where you can alter and handicap your session in order to earn more VP bucks and experience points. This is especially good for people who've beaten the game but still want to unlock everything. Alright, while this is an extremely easy game to recommend to anybody who likes this style of shoot 'em up, there are a few things holding it back. For one thing, I feel like the game's progression is a little too slow, especially compared to other similar games. You'll eventually get to the point where you're earning a ton of VP bucks in every single session, but that happens hours into the game after you've had to grind for permanent upgrades. Some of that early game grinding really could have been sped up a bit. And on that topic, I kinda wish there were more weapons and upgrades to buy. Part of the reason why that early progression is so slow is because there's barely anything to buy, and a lot of it has to be unlocked by spending a lot of time playing the game. There are really only a few different types of guns and bombs to equip. That's a shame, because this is the kind of game that really would have benefited from having a bigger arsenal. Of course, it doesn't help that the bosses are all extremely lame. I mean, they're harder than the typical enemy, I'll give them that, but they're often small and visually uninteresting. I don't know, given the robot insect gimmick, this kind of feels like a huge missed opportunity. I want to shoot down giant spider bosses or battle a praying mantis. I mean, look at what the Darius series has done with the fish theme, yet there's nothing cool like that in Whisker Squadron. I was honestly shocked when the game ended because I simply couldn't believe that I had just fought the final boss. It was so small and boring and pathetic. These encounters are, across the board, a huge letdown. The good news is that the intensity of the rest of the levels more than makes up for a few disappointing boss encounters. And let me tell you, this is not the kind of game you're going to beat in an hour or two. I ended up getting sucked into this game in a way that I wasn't expecting, logging well over a dozen hours into it before finally sitting down to work on this review. Between the random levels, the different types of abilities, and all the extra modes, there's more than enough content to keep you glued for days and weeks. Look, it may not hit the same heights as Star Fox, but longtime shoot 'em up fans will definitely get their money's worth with Whisker Squadron Survivor. If you've ever wanted a Star Fox roguelike, then Whisker Squadron Survivor is about as close as you're likely to get. This is a fun and exciting action game filled with random stages, tons of disparate power-ups, and furry heroes with a whole lot to say. While I wish the boss battles were a little more impressive and the upgrade progression could have been sped up a bit, fans of this style of shoot 'em up will be impressed with the amount of modes and the variety found in this deceptively simple game. Whisker Squadron Survivor is an easy shooter to recommend. Hey, thanks for watching my review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What's your favorite 3D shoot 'em up? I'm talking about Star Fox, or Wing Commander, or even Panzer Dragoon. I'm excited to see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back next week with a review of the Phantom and Lilac Zero. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.